Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here. It's almost time for old gal to go off to school. It's almost time. And she wants this to be a special occasion. She wants to make sure that her guy understands that she wants to be with him. Now, they're two young kids, 16, they're in love. And he's got a 16th birthday coming up about a month and a half before she goes off to school. And he's got these plans, these big plans. They've never been intimate. They've never been intimate. And she wants to be with him and he wants to be with her, but they've never been with anybody. And they're not sure how this thing is supposed to play out. He's, like I say, he'll be 16, she's 18. You feel me? She's 18. And sometimes she don't want to mess up her career. She don't want to mess up what she got going for herself. But she talks to her girlfriends about it. Now, you know how that is, young love. You're going off to school. You know, this will be your first love. You don't want your first love to be somebody you meet in college. They're telling her all of this and that, right? You know, and she says that, you know, she wants to do this, and she talks to her guy, and then they make plans, right? Now, the parents, both parents are watching. They watching them because they were kids too. They know how this thing go, but look, where there's a will, there's a way. And they finally, still a moment away. The parents all come together to celebrate that she's about to go off to college, and they're having dinner. And while they're having dinner, they decide that, you know, the adults are gonna, you know, after the dinner, sit around the house and all this and that and chill. And they were gonna go out. The kids were gonna go out. He wanted to introduce her to his friends, and, you know, some of her friends had come down, you know, and to the area, right? And they were all just gonna go out to the arcade and play games and bowl and roller skate and all of these different types of things. But they decided while they were out, they were gonna sneak off to a hotel. They were gonna sneak off to a hotel for their first time. And they did. And they were able to somehow get a room. And they had their first encounter. The first time for both of them was that night. And to them, it was the most magical thing. They were clumsy, didn't know what they were doing, but for them, it was the most magical thing. And they lost track of time. They lost track of time. And when they realized that they were late getting back, they got up and rushed to get together, got back to the house, and the parents were furious with both of them. They knew something was wrong here. They knew something was wrong. And everybody in the house, the adults, they knew. What have you done? And they both kept their mouths shut, didn't say a word, and they told them that this was over. She was going off to college. He was going to continue to do his thing in school. And when they got 21, if they still wanted to be together, okay, fine, but not now. Not now. Queenie didn't want her daughter to go off to college and be distracted. And Mary didn't want her son to be still in high school and distracted with what was going on. But they were adamant, and they told both of them, no, we're not being disrespectful, but you're not going to tell me that I can't see her. And she said, you're not going to tell me that I can't see him. Period. So they made all the threats that parents make and all this and that, and we'll take your phones and all this and that. And they both were like, so? It's not going to change anything. It was real young love. They were locked in. So they gave up. And that night they went home, and everybody's home, and they talking on the phone and all this and that. And all they talked about was that night they shared. Queenie's daughter goes off to college and is enjoying stardom. Mary's son is in high school and enjoying stardom. Both of them are always on TV being talked about, moving up and all this and that. And then somebody somewhere discovers that these two individuals are actually a couple. So they want to get them on TV and all this and that. Two of the biggest names in the state of New York in sports are actually two lovebirds, and they're talking about them all on TV. And guess what? Stanley sees them on TV on one of the sports channels, and they're talking about it. And instantly, he recognizes his son. He's a big kid now, still young. He's going to be 17 now, right? I'm moving fast, y'all. But he's getting a lot of attention from Division I schools. He's a real baller. And he talks about his girlfriend all the time, and they talk on the phone. And during the interview, she called him, and he did the same thing to her. And everybody's talking about this young love, how will it last, and all this. And then, you know how to trying to create the drama that comes along with that, right? To get people interested in them. And both of them profiles are going up, 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 up. Everybody wants a piece of them because they know what's going on. But what that brought was a lot of attention. And with a lot of attention, you get a lot of journalists asking a lot of questions, trying to trace their backgrounds. Where are they from? What are these people? You know, what are their pedigree? Who did they have anybody in their families that were sports players back in the day? And all of these different types of things, right? And one day, Mary gets a phone call from a journalist back in Tennessee. He's a sports writer, but he asked her a question that shook her foundation. Shook it. He asked her, does her son know that his father is the reason that his girlfriend's father, biological father, is dead? Mary listened to him on the phone and she went silent. She didn't know what to say. She just panicked and hung up. The journalist called right back. Tim answers the phone. The journalist is talking to him, and he tells him, look, not now. We haven't told them yet. Please don't write anything about that. And surprisingly, the journalist said, I won't. Not now. But when the time comes, I want the exclusive. Tim agrees to it, never intending to keep that word. He tells him, you'll be the first one that we call. When the time comes for them to know, you'll be the first one that we call. So it doesn't come out. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody knows. Nobody has anything to say about it. And things are seeming to be peaceful. Things are seeming to be calm. Everybody seems to have gotten over this fear that it would cause this whole thing to collapse. And they thought that they could move on with their lives like it never happened. But that's just not how things are. That's just not how things turn out. So one day, when Mary's son was talking to a recruiter about what school he wanted to go to, the question came up about his biological father. See, these schools, they dig into your past. They want to know who you are. So they asked him a question, are you in touch with your father? So Mary's son looked at him, he said, my father's in the kitchen. So the recruiter looked at him, he said, yeah, I know he's the man that raised you, but I'm talking about your biological father. And he looks over at his mother, and his mother says, the interview's over. Get out. And don't you ever come back. And he gets his stuff and he leaves, and he doesn't know what he did wrong. He's like, I'm sorry if I said anything out of what she said. Get out and don't ever come back. And if you want to know how this plays out, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode, because it's...
I'm getting so